So we've been having a problem with our kitchen sink now for about a year. What happens is that it will get clogged and bogged down, and then we'll try to loosen everything up with some hot water and a strong acid or base with the plastic pipes that we have. So basically trying to chemically unclog the situation. And that works sometimes for about a week or so, maybe even a month, but then it'll get clogged again. And so we had a plumber come with a snake, and they were able to physically unclog it, but that only lasted about another month or so. And now we're in a situation where I think we're just going to repipe the entire thing all the way from the kitchen to the laundry room. We're thinking that the clog is there because there's not really any other problems with any of the other plumbing in the house. And so we have a situation here where water's backed up. We can wait for it to drain. It's draining really slow, or we can go underneath with a bucket and just loosen the fittings down there and let it drain, and we'll get all the water out of here so we can start working. And we'll get down into the crawl space and see if we can figure out how to fix this problem.
You can see how everything's marked with 1.5, so that will tell you the size that you need to get. But as we look at this situation here, I am going to get rid of that Y and probably have to replace that angled little T joint there, and that way I don't have to have this weird angle here. So you can see how everything's kind of pushed out a little bit too far, and then I can redo this vent so that it comes over, and I should be able to get behind there and go directly over to there. And if I notch this out, might even be able to use a hole saw and just kind of give me a little bit of a path to this vent here. And then I can simplify that entire thing down there in the crawl space. So here's the vent going down into the crawl space. I have a feeling they didn't want to drill holes through this structure here to get around, and so they just kind of went down into the crawl space to get around some of the structure that they would have had to get through to get over to here. And so you'll see how it went down over there, but then it comes back up here, and then it loops around, and then that's how it vents right here. So you have all of your drainage coming from here into this trap, and then into this unnecessary clean out, and then down, and as all of your waste is going down, you need air, you need that vent. And so the interesting thing is, though, that vent goes, you know, up and around and down into the crawl space, and then, you know, back up here. So it's just kind of weird how it was done, and I feel like it can be a little bit more simplified because we are having some venting issues as well. When the sink gets a little bit clogged, you can tell it's not getting the air that it needs. Let's go into the crawl space. I'm in the crawl space. You can see the entrance there, and then the sub pump area. We can see the drain going into the laundry room from the kitchen, and that's the main drain basically in our laundry room. And then we track it back, we see a little bit of sagging, we probably need more support. Makes a turn here, and then it goes over to the kitchen area. We see the main water supply coming in from outside and feeding up into the under the kitchen sink area where the water main shutoff is. And we have the drain coming down, we have some venting going on, and we will get over there and figure out what's happening. But we can already see some sagging due potentially to lack of support. Also, possibly when the acid, the strong acid and the strong base come down and it hits the clog and produces a lot of heat, we possibly have some deformation due to heat in the pipe. And so I'm thinking that the clog is probably somewhere between this section of pipe coming right down from the sink to this turn here. So I probably don't have to replace everything. but I also am seeing some low spots, and that's not good because we want gravity to be able to help drain all of the waste out into the laundry room. This venting situation could most likely be simplified. Instead of having the air come down into the crawl space and then back up to vent the sink, I'm not quite sure why they didn't just tap into the vent above the crawl space to vent the sink. And then you would just have the drain coming down, and it could make a straight run right to this joint there without having this unnecessary complexity here. So let's think about how we can restructure this and replace some of this pipe. We want to measure the pipes and measure our distances, and that way we know what to buy and everything. So let's get to work. So I'm looking for 1.5 inch pipe. Now I will be getting a 10-foot section. I think that will work, and I can kind of recycle some of the old pipe if I need more. I also have one laying around at home, and so it says common for drain, waste, and vent applications. We're going to need a new trap adapter. You can get the 1.5 inch one, or you can get the one that adapts to the 1.25 inch plumbing. So make sure that you get the right one, but this will allow you to make that connection into the main waste. We need some 90-degree elbows. You can get the ones that turn kind of abruptly, but sometimes it's better to get the long ones. It's a little bit more of a gentle turn for the waste. We might need a repair coupling, 1.5 inch. We need a new sanitary tee, and it's angled so that the waste will go down, and then above it will be the vent. We'll try the 45 and the 60-degree elbow. We will need some primer and glue for the PVC. So there's a lot of P-trap configurations and dishwasher tail pieces to choose from, but you can just kind of look through and see what you need. For now, I'm going to grab the 1.5 inch P-trap, and we'll see if I can recycle some of the old plumbing. We need some hanger strap for down in the crawl space for additional support. Using a 2.25 inch hole saw, I was able to make a nice little spot for this new pipe. So the vent will turn 90 degrees here, come through there, and then I will hook it up as high as I can to the spot over there where it will then vent the drain. This cutting tool does a pretty good job cutting through this 1.5 inch PVC, and so just kind of ratchets and cuts it all the way off, and then you can reset it. As you start cutting into these lines, be aware of where there could be water, and you might want a bucket, and where there's going to be sewer gas. And so right now, since I'm cutting into the vent, I am opening up some sewer gas, and you can just shove a little rag in there or something to block that from coming in while you work. All right, so that's cut off now, and I cut it off right there. And so I mocked this up a little bit, and you can kind of see how it's going to work with the 90, and goes over there, and then it will connect and then go down, and it'll provide that air necessary when the drain is in use. You can hold it in position here and then mark with a Sharpie marker approximately where you need to cut it off. Remember that you need to leave a little bit of extra so that it can come down into the fitting. All right, so we have this cut here, and we are ready to put this 90-degree elbow on and get our pipe running over to here for the vent, getting that air over to where it needs to be. We're going to cut out this old T fitting and trap. We'll put a new one in there. When I cut this out, it's going to lower the pipe, and so I'll just come in with a coupling and a short piece of pipe to get it up to the height that it was before. I'm about to cut it off right there. We'll do the coupling and then the new T, and we won't do the clean out anymore. Just remember when you're disassembling this trap, that there is most likely water in there, so come in with an old pot or bucket to make sure that you don't make a mess. Out with the old and in with the new. So we have the sink draining down into here. We have the dishwasher coming in and draining. I'm going to reuse that. And let's put in our new P-trap. That'll give us a better idea of where to install this T-fitting. Notice how this T-fitting kind of swings for the drain in the downward direction to make it easier, and then all of that air from the vent is ready to go. The basic idea of this connection is that you have a little bit of leeway in terms of the positioning, but once this wedge washer comes down into here, it will seal it when this tightens it up. So we want to make sure to have that there, and then it'll make a nice watertight connection. Notice how this part of the P-trap already has the wedge built into it, and so you don't need that extra washer, and you'll just tighten that down and it'll be nice and watertight. Notice how the P-trap can swivel around and move to where you need it to in order to get to the main drain area. We'll need to cut a little section of PVC to connect the P-trap adapter to this T, and we can also trim the P-trap to length if we need to as well. Cutting that little piece. We have it mocked up now, so you can see how this P-trap adapter will just tighten on here and screw on and make a watertight connection to the P-trap. We have it all dry fit here, so you can see how both sinks will come into a central P-trap to block the sewer gas, and we have the dishwasher draining in here as well. You could do two separate P-traps, I have seen that before, but we're going to go with one. And we got rid of the old clean out because you can just disassemble this and run your snake right down there. You don't really need an extra clean out. That was causing a lot of extra piping that wasn't needed, and it was kind of jam-packed in here, so it's nice and simple now, and it goes into that T and down, and we look to be pretty good. Another thing to mention is that these are pushed all the way up here. That way I can always come down if I need to. After this is glued and primed, sometimes it will go in a little bit more than expected, and that will lower that, and we can just adjust it here. I will take this apart. Sometimes it's beneficial to mark how the fittings are connected before you disassemble it, and then I will prime and glue this outside so that all of the chemicals are out there instead of in the house. It's pretty nasty and volatile stuff, so we'll do it outside as much as we can. We are outside now, and I will first use the primer on these connections and then the cement, and then we'll hold it in for about 30 seconds, hold it nice and tight in there, and it should set up properly. And we'll do that for this connection, this connection, this connection, and this connection. You can see how I primed around both sides of this pipe, and then primed on the inside here, and then we'll switch to the glue. Alright, so the glue was oozing out just a little bit, which is fine. Made sure it was pushed all the way in and held it for 30 seconds. Now this piece is on there. We'll get the rest glued up. After the inside of the connection and the outside of the connection are primed, I like to also apply glue to the inside and the outside just to ensure 100% coverage and a nice tight seal. This piece is now primed and glued as much as I can outside, and we will have to do some of it inside as well to make the final connections. So now this is installed permanently in terms of the drain. It's all primed and glued, and if we ever need to snake this, we can just unscrew it here and detach from here and just run the snake right down easily. We don't need that clean out. And now we have to work on the vent coming up and then over to here so that we can get some air right there, so that when your sink is draining, it has access to that air. I have it dry fit now. You can see how I go into a 90 up there, into an angle here, and then over here we'll go into another 90 going up to the vent. And we can start priming and gluing now. We are all primed and glued now. You can see we went into that 90. We got that angle there. And we come over here to another 90. And so we are done with our vent. So we can get rid of this now, and we need to go into the crawl space and finish the rest of the piping down there. I have pretty much everything I need in that bag there, and I have my new 10-foot pipe. Let's get in here and install it. Let's get rid of this nest of plumbing that we don't need anymore, and we're going to attach the new pipe there, and we're going to come right to here with one straight shot. Before I make this cut, I used a strap, and you can see I secured it with 2 screws up there. I can always unscrew one of them and readjust if needed. I blocked the sewer gas off with the plastic bag for now. This is some of the pipe that was cut out. You can see how it is really clogged in there. So that was the problem. It looks like this pipe has some buildup too, so I will replace that as well. I'll just dry fit it for now. And you can see how I tore out all of the old plumbing. Make sure you have some sort of a bucket when you're making the cuts. There might be some water left in the line. And I will basically raise that joint up there as high as I can. I'll probably raise it another inch or so. That way I can get the maximum amount of slope going over to here and this angular connection. So I have it strapped up nicely now, and it's primed and glued over there. And this joint right here is not primed and glued yet, but it's all ready to go. I just got to get a new pipe for that final section going into the laundry room. The last piece of pipe is in and strapped up. You'll see the final connection right here to the old piping. I was able to use an old paint stick to just kind of clear out the rest of the junk in the old pipe before attaching onto it. And you'll see that that comes into here, the laundry room, and joins in with a different drain, and then comes over, makes one final turn into the main drain for the house. So I made sure that this final little section was nice and cleaned out, and so that means that we have basically new pipe all the way from the kitchen to the main drain now. Let's see if it worked. So we have the water running on full blast, and we have a piece of paper towel down here just to check for any drips. The paper towel will make it a lot easier to see, and then if it's dripping, we might just need to tighten one of these connections, or it's possible that this connection here is misaligned a little bit, but looks like we're good for now. We'll keep an eye on it. We can also fill up the sink completely with water and then dump the entire sink all at once and see how it handles that, but it seems to be doing well. I hope this video was helpful for you. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more educational videos related to construction. We'll see you in the next one.